I think if people could really grasp the power of the internet, they would drop everything they're doing right now today and learn as much about it as they could. There's 1.5 billion users on the internet right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. If I didn't get a personal chance to welcome you, let me do so now. And if you're brand new to the Carbon Copy Pro community and you are on your first wake-up call, again, don't be afraid. We get together every morning just like this. That's what families do. I want to welcome you to the community because you are in the right place at the right time. But I happen to know we got a lot of info to get to you in a short period of time, so I'm going to step aside to the man, Mr. John Jackson, VP of Leadership Development. Good morning. John Jackson?
You just keep coming there with me. Don't you ever step aside, my friend, okay? Don't you ever step aside. You're right here with me, brother. I appreciate you so much. You're right. We've got a lot we want to cover. I do want to echo your sentiments. If you're brand new to Carbon Copy Pro, hopefully you find out very, very quickly why. This is a special time of our day. We're staying today, during this little window of time, maybe you glean just an additional nugget of wisdom that will move you and your business forward. There's no other way, though. It won't happen unless you plug yourself in. So make sure that you just make a commitment to be consistent with just plugging into the resources that you have, and welcome. Typically, if you're brand new, what we do is I do the best. My phone starts ringing pretty early in the morning, but I do block off some time in preparation for the call. But I jump on as early as I can to grab some names. And if you're brand new and you're hearing all these people introduce themselves, and you're not, here's a tip. Jumping out and being heard. The leaders are heard. And jumping out and having your name, Matthew, you're a great example. I know you're actively involved, but I'm going to ask you to jump out here with me for a second. It's amazing the kind of personal growth you have when you just put yourself out there. You're heard. You make sure that you're heard. Just that simple exercise itself, given a testimonial, is a growth process. Would you not concur, Matthew?
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. When you can start to, it's like the be-do aspect. When you start to give these testimonials, you start to be that person more and more, and you start to do the actions more and more that are required to grow yourself.
Well, and you're a living testament. I've seen you grow and mature, and I know there have been times when you're out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't matter. You're out there, and it starts with just when I very, very first got started in this profession, and I didn't understand the power of being heard. Just thought I had to do my little business and hope and pray I'd get results. No. Folks, you got to put yourself out there, and it's just a simple way you can do that on a daily basis is jump out, state your name, where you're calling in from, and then I do just grab a little Post-it note and write some of the names that I hear down, and I do my best to mix it up because hundreds of you jump out here, but let's see here. I'm going to give this a shot. Tad, I heard you checking in. How you doing, Tad? I'm going to come back to this name in just a second. George, glad you're here. Chris, my good friend Benny, Onico, Frank Scott, who else did I write down? Maurice, Ortega, Joe, Graham checking in from South Africa, my good friend Dr. Charlie. Lewis, I heard you jumping on there at the very end. And earlier, I heard Sophia. Sophia, here's what I'm going to do. Julianne, Gordon and Julianne, they're always on. Hi, Julianne. Hi, Gordon. I'm going to read something. I'm going to see if I have permission to read this. And if I'm out of integrity with you, Julianne, I don't think you'll have a problem with me reading this email that you sent me this morning. Good morning, JJ. Just wanted to shout out a big thank you to Sophia. Sophia, I was going to send this to you, and I know you're listening, but I wanted you to hear this firsthand in front of the whole community. I've been with Pro for over 2 years now, and last night's ad placement training with Sophia was the best ever. You say the marketing partners are stepping up to share their gold nuggets. Well, Sophia went above and beyond, and shared big gold nuggets. Just wanted to let her know she rocks. Julianne and Gordon. Now, probably not on the moderator line, Soph, but just wanted to, on behalf of the whole community, thank you. I know you were excited about sharing last night. We're going to hear from you again, but on behalf of the entire community, specifically Gordon, and there's a leader stepping up. See Julianne just making sure that she's heard. But Sophia, thank you. That's the power of just plugging in. See, Julianne made a decision last night to plug into the resources and training, and that you can just see in the words. She grew last night. She's a better marketer. She's a better leader. Well, that was yesterday. Today's a new day. Also want to give a shout out to David Bach. We had and recognize a few members of the foundation community that jumped out. We opened it up for Q&A and had a chance to speak with David briefly. And you're not on that call. First Tuesday of every month, you foundation members, we had just a phenomenal call. And I do want to recognize some of the members of the community who jumped out there. Agati, Mike, and Julie, and Diane had some great questions for David, and I know that we're going to be implementing that component in those monthly foundation coaching calls on a regular basis. And David, on behalf of the whole pro community, thank you as well. Who else do I? Gosh, a lot of people. I think it gets me double-checking some notes here. I think that puts the past in the past. Today is about a new day. The title of my email this morning was Backed by Popular Demand. And I've gotten a lot of those emails from members like Julianne and Gordon about the host for tonight's quality conversation call, my good friend Greg Davison. And Greg, I heard you checking in from Cayman. Good morning, my friend. Hey, what's in store tonight, brother? What do you have?
Good morning, brother. Can you hear me firstly?
You sound fantastic across that beautiful, beautiful water. You sound good, buddy.
It is a beautiful day, and I feel fantastic, which is more important. I'm really, really genuinely excited about tonight's call because I had a quality conversations training call on the 25th of May, and we'd gotten to the end of the conversations with leads and apps, and in the Q&A, a lot of the leaders were jumping out saying, hey, I've got my first team member, or I've got a couple of team members, and I'm having some challenges learning how to have the right conversation with them. And I spent about maybe 25 or 30 minutes giving some advice, sharing my experience over the last 8 years as a leader in the direct sales industry on how to have that conversation. And I thought, what a great opportunity tonight on taking the forum. How do I have the conversation as a new member with my mentor? And for the mentors and the leaders out there, how do I have the right conversation with my new team member? Some of the things I'm going to be covering tonight. What are the ground rules that should be set to create the right expectation in this partnership? How do I give my members the right level of support to make sure that I empower their success and I don't hinder their success? As a new member, what's important? How do I need to show up to the calls with my mentor? What does my attitude need to be like? How do I need to be solution-oriented and be positive in the face of any challenges instead of problem-oriented? What do I need to commit to in terms of my education and commitment to my business? And, from that, what's going to be the structure of the right mentoring and student conversation? So, John, I'm just really excited to, share my experience, what's really worked well for me in developing leaders over the last 8 years, both in this business and the business I was in prior. And, this is going to be great for you, whether you're brand new, whether you're getting started this week, or even if you're a rising star, rising leader with 10 or more team members, like a level 2, a level 1 member, or even a level 2 member. This is going to be such a valuable call for you guys to get some great information on how to have that right conversation. What do you think about that, John?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. When you said that, I hit mute on my phone, and I'm like, this is brilliant. In all my years in this profession, this is why you're a leader. In all my years in this profession, I've been a part of a lot of training, a lot of nuts and bolts training, but I have never had a leader step up and go, I want to train not only the leaders but the new people on how that conversation works. Now, here's what people probably don't understand. This quality conversation call, this can be transferred directly to prospects as well, I'm guessing. Yes. I mean, they're the same principles, but how you show up in the face of these, how you come to these conversations, I have to say it's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, my friend. Absolutely brilliant.
I appreciate the kind of words, John. Yeah.
No, I think in all my years, I've never had a leader step up and go, you know what, we deserve to let new members know. how to approach a conversation with their mentor. Because, folks, you deserve the access to your leaders and your mentors. And being on both, having been on both sides of the fence, you and I both know, Greg, we can tell who we want to spend time with and who we don't, and that is strictly determined by how they show up to that conversation, don't we? We know. We'll either completely open up. We're human, folks. Don't think we're not. But the level of how, the time we give back and how we open up is a direct reflection of how that person shows up to that conversation.
And I think, John, this is going to be great for the lead, pretty much everybody on how to, in the right way, just set the right tone of leadership from the very first conversation you have. Whether it's you pick up the phone, have a conversation with the lead, and how to define that relationship from that first conversation to bringing the member in and then helping them develop as a leader. So it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited.
Well, listen, and thank you so much. Looking forward to that. Again, that call is this evening at 9 p. Eastern. Make sure you jump on a little early, jump out. Matthew, I'm assuming you're taking intros for that as you do just about every call here. But say hello to Matthew. And I want stay with me here, Greg, because I have a thought. In my email this morning, I mentioned that there's one more topic I want to address with regard to a quality conversation. And as I get a little longer in tooth, I understand the power of this skill set, and it is a skill set. And I'm going to ask you a question today. In the scope of a quality conversation, 97%ers are consumed with what do I say? What do I ask? A 3%er approaches it with the perspective of how am I listening? My question for you today is this. Are you a good listener? I happen to know Greg's a good listener. I happen to know that these leaders that you see, they're great marketers. I'll tell you a skill set that they have. They're great listeners. They're great listeners. Are you a good listener? Think about the best quality conversations you've ever had in your life. Why do you consider them the best conversations? You've learned something. You've attained something. You've heard something. You didn't say anything. You heard something that made a difference for you, that made an impact on you, that made that a quality conversation in your life. Are you a good listener? See, to be a good listener, there's 4 things I want you to consider today. First, listen in an active manner. Pay attention. Nobody wants to talk to a corpse. So do these 3 things. Paraphrase what you heard. Clarify what you heard. And when appropriate, give feedback. Now, paraphrasing helps you understand correctly. Clarifying is asking questions until you fully understand what the other person really means. Feedback, when appropriate, is sharing your own thoughts and your own feelings. But, folks, here's key. You've got to do it in a non-judgmental way. So listen in a very active manner. Paraphrase, clarify, and when appropriate, give feedback. But a lot of times, folks, it's not appropriate. Know when and when not to give your feedback. So, number 1, listen in an active manner. 2, listen with empathy. Now, again, I have some great conversations with other leaders. There's this term called posture. And I'm a firm believer in that term called posture. And I think it's just how people have to perceive you as a leader. What's the first thing people are looking for, folks? They're looking for a leader who can show them how to achieve their goals. It has nothing to do with you. But when you listen with empathy. Now, you may not like what's being said. But often as you listen, you realize that if you were in their shoes, you might feel that same way too. That's what empathy is all about. So, 1, listen in an active manner. 2, listen with empathy. 3, listen with openness. Selective listening, defensive listening, and filtered listening are not open listening. Here's the best way I know how to put this. Listen as though you were an anthropologist, and the person was from another planet. Their customs, their beliefs, their way of thinking are different from yours, and you're doing everything you can to understand them. I like that metaphor, because in that, I open up. Are you listening with openness? So 1, listen in an active manner. 2, listen with empathy. 3, listen with openness. And last, 4, listen with awareness. Does what they are saying line up with the facts? I think sometimes this is where posture comes in. Are they consistent? Now, if you've listened actively, empathetically, and openly, and you still don't understand their point of view, understand something. You don't have to attack. Wait. Gather more information. Maybe ask this. Could you tell me a little bit more? Or could you give me a specific example? Or I think 2 are the most powerful words that you can use. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know your perspective. It's a simple way to show up and let them know that you're a leader who possesses one of the most valuable traits, is gratitude. Thank you for letting me know your perspective. Or, that's interesting. I hadn't considered it in that light. Or, what you're saying may have some truth in it. Tell me more. Understand something. Guys like Greg, 3% listeners, 3% leaders. They listen. And the art of listening is a leadership skill that you must commit to develop on a day-to-day basis. Greg, I hope I'm resonating with the power of this skill set in the scope of Equality Conversations. Would you concur?
I concur absolutely with everything you just said, JJ. It's about listening with the intent to understand, listening with the intent to empathize. And most people, I'd say 99% of people listen with intent to respond.
Yeah.
First listen actively with open ears, because here's a great thing that I learned from one of my mentors. Communication is a two-way process. It's a process of 2 ears and 1 mouth, not 2 mouths.
So true. Well, listen, buddy, I appreciate it. You're back. Greg's back by popular demand, folks. Make sure you chime in. Again, I want to thank Sophia for a great webinar last night. I know that's a pretty big file. We're doing everything we can to get that up as soon as possible. I don't have an update on that this morning. My apologies, but just know we'll get that up as quickly as possible. Matthew, thank you so much for getting this train rolling down the track. Folks, thank you so much for being here with me this morning. Let's make today count. Why? Because it does. It does. You can make June 8th, 2011, best day of your life if you just choose to do it. Now, go make a difference in someone else's life. Here's how you do it. Do something good. Do something positive for somebody today, at least one person. But do it in the knowing there's absolutely no way they could ever repay you. Folks, we'll see you on the calls. This call's a wrap.
Only a select group of people will see this information. Despite all of the incredible growth ahead, there is a limited window of opportunity. Timing is critical. In the Internet economy, it's called first mover advantage. It's your move